Hey everyone, and welcome to my channel. I'd like to give an update on my reading journal as far as what books I read in January and some of the trackers and stats that I did. Now, this is my main reading journal for 2026. I do have two others where I'm keeping track of the books that I read for the challenges. So these are just swatches of potential colors for the months. Let's see. So I didn't update this page yet. This is my reading log, and I read 12 books for the month of January. One of the books were for the Magical Readathon, the Aurelium Magical Readathon, and two books were for the One Ring Challenge. And then RR is just a reread. So I read this book once upon a time, and so I read it again. This is my bookshelfie. I finished, like I said, I finished 12 books, but I put them all in here. I decided to do it by color of month. So all of January has this same color. And then when I do February, it'll be a different color. And then March and April and so on and so forth. This is my series tracker. I started to write down different series that I'd like to read. So again, this is the color for January. These are the books that I read in these series during the month of January. I did not do anything on this page yet. So this is future releases. I put down 4 books that'll be coming out this year that I'd like to remember that they're coming out. Can't wait to fill out this page, but this will be done later on. So this is my A to Z challenge. And what I'm doing is I'm listing every book that I read under the letter. So I did, I think only the letter T had 2. Oh no, and S. S had 2 as well. I did not get any quotes, so this page stays the same. The Incipit Ledger. This one's funny. This is the first sentence of every book, and I wrote it chronologically as I finished the book. And it's just a bunch of nonsense, but it's fun, but it's not really for anything. So this is my favorite game of squares. It's like bingo, but I want to fill out the whole block of squares, and it'll display a picture when it's done. So I managed to finish 5 prompts out of the 25. And for me, the rule is 1 book, 1 prompt. So hopefully, as time goes on, I'll fill this out more. This is my DNF graveyard. I did DNF 1 book, which was this one right here. And I put just real quick reasons why, so that I can remind myself why I DNF'd it. And then the year's mosaic, one of my reading goals was to read at least every day for half an hour, and I did accomplish that in January. So I haven't decorated this page yet here, but now we're into the January spread. Now, I'm going to be honest, I wanted to do an actual decoration, with papers and this and that, and I totally forgot. I just started slapping down the stickers of the books and this and that, and I ended up having to like reverse decorate where all the information is down and then whatever was left over, I'm trying to fill in the spots. But that's okay. I don't mind it. I read mostly in printed, like physical book, and I read on my Kindle Unlimited. And so every time I finish a book, I use an app called Storygraph. And Storygraph is really cool because when the month is, throughout the whole month, but as the month is over, I can have it pull up stats for me. So all this information here is based on the stats from Storygraph. So 25% of the books I read were imprinted, 75% were digital. And then I also put like the number of pages in a book that I read and the stats for that. So it's about 3/4 of the books that I read, 75% are between 300 and 499 pages, which sounds about right. Only 8% was above 500 and 17% was less than 300. So again, I read 12 books. I DNF'd one. I read a total of 4,723 pages. My average rating is a 3.85, which sounds about right. And this is just a little collage that I did here. And this is not necessarily a quote, but it's like a vibe for one of the books that I read for Blood and Gold, which is they loved each other at different speeds of eternity, and that's very true. So these are all the books that I've read, and I put the rating in like number form on this page here. Storygraph allows you to put quarter stars, so 3.0, 3.25, 0.5, 0.75. So I decided to keep that system when I rate my books here as well, so it could just be consistent between the app. So I actually did have a 5.0, which is Gardens of the Moon. It's the book that I read for my One Ring Challenge. So this is a high fantasy book. I was not expecting that at all. That book was amazing. And it's part of a 10 series or 10 book series. And so I decided I'm going to continue and read this series. But an absolutely amazing book. The lowest rated book I had besides the DNF was a 2.5 for this one here, The Dryad's Embrace. So again, I really didn't get to decorate the pages. I got too excited about filling it out, so I ended up, pasting all these are all stickers of the book covers that I had made. And I immediately started writing, and then I totally forgot that I wanted to add some like background decorations around. So January will be what I consider minimalistic, because these were an afterthought. Once I had space, I said, well, that's as much as I'm going to do. So just as a warning, if you can read my chicken scratch, there's probably spoilers in it. I'm not really going to talk about the synopsis of all the books, but I do want to talk about how I went about my layout. So I printed all the book covers as stickers. I did do the actual star rating below it. I have certain information that I want to know, who were the main characters, so main male, main female, and what point of view is the book done in, dual, first person, third person, whatever. I don't necessarily write a review of like the summary of the book, but I will put what I like, what I didn't like, any other opinions about the book itself. And then at the end, I will always put, is it a future reread? Would I like to reread the book again at some point in my life? Would I recommend the book? And if it's part of a series, will I continue the series? So every book will have at least the first two, but not every book is part of a series, like this Tarnished Empire. I don't think this was part of a series, so I didn't have that part there. And what I also did was, for every so often, I made a sticker of like the couples in the book. So again, everyone will have not a full page spread. This one had a full page, but some of them will split, especially if I don't have a lot to say. And sometimes I do have a lot to say, as you can see. Apparently I do. And so again, this is for Tartan Swap. This is for The Dryad's Embrace. This is the book that had the lowest rating. It just wasn't for me. I felt like they were acting like they were in their early to mid-teens, and they were just unlikable to me, and that's fine. Just whatever. I did finish it, but I'm not going to continue this series. Now this series here, this one's part of the Ruthless People series, and they're completely unhinged. It is a dark romance for sure. So see here, Blood and Gold. This was a book that was a reread. I gave it a 2-page spread here because I had quite a bit to say. And even though it's a reread, I first read this book 25 years ago. So it's been a long time. It might as well have been new to my adult brain, which is why I still count it. I still count rereads as a book read. I just don't count it as a new book. These pictures are coming out a little like dark on the camera, but they're not too dark in real life. So this is a book I also picked up for the One Ring Challenge series. I ended up reading the first book for the One Ring Challenge and then decided I needed to keep going on, so I read books 2 and 3 during January. And again, it's a high fantasy book, so I put both of the books on this page since I'm talking about both. This one here is on Fractured Past, and this here is for Spilled Secrets. And so sometimes I'll do that. If it's part of a series, I'll just go ahead and mix it together. And that's pretty much it for those books there. But I do have my other journal where I'm keeping track of the books for the One Ring Challenge. This is my journal for that. And here's all the different types of books. I only ended up reading 2 that were under the high fantasy books. And I did the spreads for those books in here. So all of the high fantasy books will be under this spread here. So what I don't like to do is I don't like to predetermine how many pages I might use, because most of the time I'm wrong. And in this instance I am wrong. I ended up, this was a book that I gave 5 stars to, and it's very much a high fantasy. There are a lot going on, characters, events, and because of that, there's a lot I wanted to put down as far as the decorations, but I ended up doing a Dutch door. This is just a list of characters and the different factions. That's all this is. That's not even a review or anything. This was kind of my review for that. Again, I don't do a summary of the book because it would be like 20 pages long. But now I'm done. I don't have any more space for any of my high fantasy books. But thankfully, when I made this journal, I had extra space. So back here, this will be for the Silmarillion once I read it. So I'll use the rest of the pages back here to do any spreads that didn't fit in the front. So this was book 1 of the, Tanarian novel books. And that's what I had to say about it, but I had leftover space here. I have 2 more books in the series I have to read. So when I finish those books in February, I'll fill this out with more writing or decoration, and then it'll be done. But that's it for my One Ring Challenge. And then the last book, I'm doing the Magical Readathon, which is the Aurelium, hosted by G of Book Roast. And so everything that has to do with Magic Aurelium, I'm keeping in this journal here. I haven't done a flip through of this journal because it's not actually done. All this is information I have to put in here. But for the January prompt, it was to read a book from the previous year. So I did. I actually didn't really finish. No, I did finish this spread. So this is January. I really didn't like the book much. I gave it about 2 3/4 stars. Pretty much all I have to say. I did like the small adventure that they go through. That in itself was where most of the stars come from, but everything else I was not a fan of. And that's all I had to say about the book. So I decided not to put any more. So this will be January, February, and so on and so forth. And as I read the books, I'll determine how much page space they're going to get. But that's pretty much it. So those are my flip throughs for January. Those are the books that I read. I hope you're keeping up with the reading journal. I'd love to see what you guys do. Thank you so much for stopping by, and I'll see you soon.